Good morning, Ralph Ellison, Multimedia. Today we're going to be working on our paddles for our Pong game. If you have not finished the ball, programming your ball, you need to go back and finish that before you can move on to the paddles. You need to ensure that the ball is moving so that we can work on our paddles, okay? And so if you haven't done that, go and finish that now, all right? When working with our paddles today, it is going to be on you to figure out the puzzle of having your paddles move up and down, okay? And you have to do this for both paddles, okay? So your very first step is going to figure out what event that you want to use. We've been using the same one most of the time, so you're probably going to use when flag is clicked, okay? And then next you have to figure out, just like our letters, where you want your paddles to automatically reset to, okay? So you have to, again, just like with your letters, figure out where we want our paddles to automatically reset to. So if I want my paddle to automatically reset to this location, and I can look down and see, well, the X is at 220, the Y is at 0, then I'm going to tell it reset to, all automatically reset to 220 and put my Y at 0. If I want my paddle to reset always at up here, then I see, or maybe yours might be closer over here. My recommendation is put it further to the edge. And so we see the numbers changed from 220 to 213. All right, you're going to use a tag like this. All right, next we're going to use show. Make sure that our flag or our paddle is always showing. All right. All right. Then, because we want this to constantly always happen, you're going to have to use a tag that will make everything always operate. No matter, as long as the flag is pressed, this should always happen. Okay? And when you do that, right, so we're going to make sure that you have your paddles reset. Sorry about that. And then forever, we're going to use a tag that's going to allow us to constantly repeat whatever we put in it. And we want to do this because when we want our paddles to move up and down, we want them to always move up and down no matter what. We want to make sure that no matter what, when I press a button, my paddle moves up, and when I press a button, my paddle moves down. We don't want to restrict it and say, oh, we only want this to happen 10 times. We don't want to restrict and say, well, we only want this to happen when the ball is moving or anything like that. It should move up and down as long as the flag has been pressed. Okay? All right. So you have to make sure that you have a tag that will allow for that. Next, we're going to use another tag that says if blank then. So we're using this because we want to tell our paddle if something is pressed, then this happens. Okay? So if blank then. That's why you see these right here. All right? Then you have to figure out how much you want your paddle to change by. Okay? How much you want your paddle to change by. So when a button is pressed, do you want your paddle to change by 5? Do you want it to change by 10? That's basically how many steps that it takes to move. Okay? Then lastly, for each paddle, you're going to have to figure out which button or how you want your paddle to move. Okay? So we have a lot of options in here. We have one that says if our paddle touches something, it should move. If our paddle touches a certain color, it should move. If one color is touching another color, it should move. Maybe we say if our paddle was a certain distance to something, it should move. All right. We have another that says if a certain key is pressed, our paddle should move. We have another one that says if our mouse is dragged down, then maybe our paddle moves. Maybe we say if our mouse is at X or Y, our paddle moves, or X or Y. Yeah, so we have a lot of different options for sensing. This is the area where you're going to be trying a lot of different things today and figuring out how you want your paddles to move. I'm not going to give you the answer, but it is on you to figure out how you want your paddles to move, okay? Again, you need to figure this out for both paddles. You should already have the coding inside of the ball so that when the ball hits the paddle, it's going to bounce. We already should have taken care of that yesterday. Once you have your paddle scripted, and the ball still doesn't interact, then there might be an issue in your programming for your ball. Okay? All right. So that is your assignment for today. Get your paddles to move, and then also make sure that they are bouncing your ball around. Okay? You have two paddles, so you need to think about how you want your paddle to move on the left side, which is this paddle right here. And then if I have another player sitting next to me, in the end, your paddle should move up and down. And again, you have two different paddles, so you need to make sure that both paddles move. You need to make sure that you're using something so that one player can use this paddle and another player can use this paddle. All right.